The brisk New York air carried the aroma of roasted chestnuts and the chatter of pedestrians bustling down the avenues. Taylor Swift, the global music icon, was en route to her favorite cafe for a rare afternoon off. Disguised in an oversized coat, sunglasses, and a baseball cap, she attempted to blend in with the crowd. It wasn't an easy feat for someone of her stature, but it was a brief reprieve from the incessant glare of the spotlight. Yet, even amidst the anonymity of the moment, fate had other plans for her. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. Turning a corner, Taylor's gaze fell upon a figure seated on the sidewalk, wrapped in a tattered blanket. A cardboard sign rested against her knees, reading, "Homeless, anything helps." The woman's frail frame and the downward tilt of her head might have allowed others to pass by without a second glance. But something about her struck Taylor. The shape of her face, the way she held herself despite the circumstances, it all felt eerily familiar. Taylor froze mid-step, her heart skipping a beat. Could it be? She knelt to get a closer look, removing her sunglasses. The woman raised her head, revealing sunken cheeks and weary eyes that still managed to shine with a flicker of recognition. Taylor gasped softly. "Miss Nancy?" she whispered. The woman blinked as if struggling to believe her eyes. A tear slid down her cheek as she nodded. "Taylor," she croaked, her voice barely audible but unmistakable. Years seemed to collapse in that moment. Nancy had been Taylor's nanny during her formative years in Nashville. She was a constant in a world that had often felt chaotic, packing lunches, braiding hair, and offering warm hugs on tough days. Nancy had been more than a caretaker. She was family. Taylor had always remembered her fondly, though their paths had diverged as her career skyrocketed. Questions flooded Taylor's mind. How had Nancy ended up here? Why hadn't she reached out for help? But she held her tongue, knowing that the sidewalk was no place for such a conversation. Instead, she gently placed a hand on Nancy's shoulder. "Come with me," Taylor said, her voice firm but filled with compassion. "Let's get you somewhere warm." Nancy hesitated, her pride warring with her desperation. But Taylor's genuine concern was impossible to resist. She helped Nancy to her feet, supporting her unsteady frame. Together, they hailed a cab and headed to Taylor's penthouse. The warmth of the apartment was a stark contrast to the biting cold outside. Nancy sank into the plush couch, visibly overwhelmed by her surroundings. Taylor handed her a steaming cup of tea before sitting down beside her. "Nancy," she began softly, "what happened? How did things get so bad?" Tears welled in Nancy's eyes as she recounted her story. After leaving her position with the Swift family, she had taken a series of jobs, eventually moving to New York to care for her sister who had been battling cancer. The medical bills had drained Nancy's savings, and when her sister passed away, she found herself alone and unable to keep up with the rising cost of living. One misfortune after another had led her to the streets, where she'd been for the past 6 months. Taylor listened intently, her heart breaking with every word. This woman had given so much to others, only to be left with nothing in her own time of need. The injustice of it all ignited a fire within her. She reached out and took Nancy's hand. "You're not alone anymore," she said firmly. "We're going to fix this." True to her word, Taylor sprang into action. She called her personal doctor to assess Nancy's health and arranged for a private suite at a nearby hotel where Nancy could stay temporarily. She also reached out to a trusted legal team to ensure Nancy could access any resources or benefits she might have been entitled to, but unaware of. As Nancy began to regain her strength, Taylor spent hours reminiscing with her about the old days. They laughed over childhood stories, like the time Nancy had helped Taylor smuggle a kitten into the house, much to her parents' chagrin. These moments were a balm to Nancy's weary soul, reminding her of the joy and purpose she had once felt. But Taylor wasn't content with short-term solutions. She knew that Nancy deserved more than just a temporary reprieve. She wanted to ensure her former nanny had the means to rebuild her life permanently. With this in mind, Taylor reached out to a network of philanthropists and social workers she'd collaborated with on previous charity projects. She spearheaded an initiative aimed at providing comprehensive support for individuals like Nancy, those who had fallen through the cracks of society despite their best efforts. Nancy, initially reluctant to accept such generosity, gradually began to see it not as charity, but as a testament to the love and respect she had earned. Taylor's persistence and genuine care melted away any lingering doubts. "You always believed in me, Miss Nancy," Taylor reminded her one evening. "Now it's my turn to believe in you." With Taylor's encouragement, Nancy began exploring her passions, something she hadn't had the luxury to consider in years. She had always loved cooking, so Taylor arranged for her to take classes at a renowned culinary school. The prospect of turning a lifelong hobby into a new career filled Nancy with a renewed sense of purpose. As weeks turned into months, Nancy's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. The once weary woman who had sat on a cold sidewalk now stood tall, her eyes shining with confidence. She had completed her culinary training and secured a position at an upscale restaurant, where her talent and work ethic quickly earned her accolades. Through it all, Taylor remained by her side, not just as a benefactor, but as a true friend. Their bond deepened in ways neither had anticipated. For Taylor, helping Nancy wasn't just an act of kindness. It was a reminder of the values that had grounded her before fame and fortune took center stage. Nancy, in turn, became an advocate for others experiencing homelessness. She shared her story publicly, using her newfound platform to shed light on the systemic issues that had led to her predicament. With Taylor's support, she founded a nonprofit aimed at providing resources and opportunities for individuals facing similar struggles. Their collaborative efforts garnered widespread attention, inspiring countless others to take action in their own communities. Nancy's life was no longer a daily struggle for survival. Her transformation into a beacon of hope wasn't just a personal victory, but a profound example of what could happen when compassion intersected with action. Yet the story didn't end there. For both Taylor and Nancy, this experience marked the beginning of a journey that extended far beyond their individual lives. The impact of their reunion rippled outward, touching the lives of countless others and reshaping how people understood the possibilities of second chances. As Nancy settled into her new life, she often reflected on the whirlwind of changes she had undergone. The culinary classes, the new job, and the platform Taylor had helped her establish were more than opportunities. They were lifelines. Each day was now filled with purpose. Nancy found herself waking up eager to contribute, not just at her new job, but in the nonprofit organization she had founded with Taylor's guidance. The nonprofit, aptly named Second Sunrise, focused on creating sustainable pathways for individuals facing homelessness. Nancy's story became its cornerstone, a reminder that every person living on the streets had a unique narrative, one often marked by unforeseen tragedies and systemic failures rather than personal shortcomings. Through her speeches and interviews, Nancy spoke passionately about the need for empathy and action. Her voice, once muted by despair, now rang with authority and resolve. Taylor, meanwhile, was more involved in Second Sunrise than anyone might have expected from someone juggling a global music career. She dedicated time between tours to strategize with Nancy and the board of directors. Her fame became a tool for advocacy, amplifying Nancy's voice and drawing attention to the organization's mission. The media, initially fascinated by the story of Taylor's encounter with her former nanny, now shifted focus to the broader issues at hand. Headlines no longer fixated on the celebrities involved, but on the systemic problems Nancy had courageously brought to light. Together, they spearheaded initiatives that redefined how communities approached homelessness. Second Sunrise introduced programs that focused not just on immediate aid like food and shelter, but on long-term support, including mental health services, job training, and affordable housing. Nancy's background in caregiving and her firsthand experience with homelessness gave her unique insights into what truly made a difference, while Taylor's resources and influence helped turn those insights into action. One of their most groundbreaking projects was the launch of a transitional housing complex in the heart of New York City. The complex wasn't just a place for people to sleep, it was a community. It featured on-site counseling, a childcare center, and even a rooftop garden where residents could grow their own food. Nancy played a hands-on role in its design, drawing from her experiences to ensure it felt welcoming and dignified. She insisted on details like individual rooms instead of shared dormitories, understanding the importance of privacy and personal space for people rebuilding their lives. The opening of the complex was a monumental event, attended by local leaders, advocates, and even some of Nancy's former co-workers from the restaurant. As Taylor stood beside her at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, the crowd erupted into applause. Nancy's speech that day left few dry eyes. "This isn't just a building," she said. "It's proof that no matter how far someone falls, they can rise again, with a little help and a lot of love. Meanwhile, Taylor's music began to reflect the profound impact this journey had on her. Her next album, which fans eagerly anticipated, included a song titled Sunrise Again. It was an emotional ballad inspired by Nancy's resilience and the transformative power of kindness. The song resonated deeply with audiences, becoming an anthem for hope and renewal. Proceeds from the single were donated to Second Sunrise, further fueling its mission. Nancy's newfound stability and sense of purpose also allowed her to reconnect with parts of herself she had long neglected. One day, while cleaning out a box of old belongings Taylor had helped her retrieve from storage, Nancy stumbled upon a stack of journals she had kept over the years. Leafing through the pages, she was reminded of her love for storytelling. The journals were filled with anecdotes, musings, and reflections on her life. From her days as a nanny to the harrowing months she had spent on the streets. Encouraged by Taylor, Nancy began to compile these writings into a memoir. The process was cathartic, forcing her to confront the pain of her past while also celebrating her triumphs. When the memoir, titled From Shadows to Sunrise, was published, it became an instant bestseller. Readers were moved by Nancy's honesty and inspired by her journey. The book not only raised awareness about homelessness, but also humanized it, breaking down the stereotypes that often surrounded the issue. With the success of her memoir, Nancy found herself in the unexpected role of a public figure. She appeared on talk shows, participated in panel discussions, and even delivered a TED Talk. Her message was always the same. Homelessness was not a personal failure but a societal one, and it was everyone's responsibility to address it. She emphasized that solutions required not just money, but a fundamental shift in how people viewed and treated those who were struggling. Nancy's rising prominence didn't come without challenges. The spotlight brought scrutiny, and there were moments when the pressure felt overwhelming. But Taylor remained a steadfast ally, offering support and encouragement. Their friendship, forged in childhood and rekindled in adversity, became an anchor for both of them. They often joked that they had become unlikely partners in a cause neither had anticipated, but they knew their bond was anything but accidental. As the years went by, Second Sunrise grew into a national movement. The organization expanded to cities across the country, adapting its programs to meet the unique needs of each community. Nancy and Taylor often traveled together to visit new sites, meeting with local leaders and residents. These trips were a source of inspiration for both women, reinforcing their commitment to the cause. One particularly memorable visit took them to a small town in the Midwest, where Second Sunrise had partnered with a local shelter to establish a vocational training center. During a tour of the facility, they met a young woman named Clara, who had recently completed a culinary program similar to the one Nancy had attended. Clara shared her story of overcoming addiction and homelessness, crediting Second Sunrise for giving her a chance to start over. As Clara spoke, Nancy saw echoes of her own journey and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. This was why she had fought so hard, not just for herself, but for people like Clara who deserved a second chance. By now, Taylor's fame and influence had reached even greater heights, but she often said that her work with Nancy and Second Sunrise was her proudest achievement. The experience had fundamentally changed her, shifting her perspective on success and the responsibility that came with it. She began to incorporate messages of social justice into her music and public appearances, using her platform to advocate for systemic change. Nancy, too, continued to evolve. While she remained deeply involved with Second Sunrise, she also pursued new opportunities. She launched a line of cookbooks inspired by the recipes she had developed during her culinary training, blending comfort food with healthier options. The cookbooks became bestsellers, with a portion of the proceeds supporting the nonprofit. Nancy's newfound passion for cooking also led her to host a series of workshops for Second Sunrise residents, teaching them not just how to cook, but how to see food as a source of empowerment and creativity. The success of their work began to attract international attention. Representatives from other countries reached out to learn from Second Sunrise's model, eager to implement similar programs in their own communities. Nancy and Taylor found themselves traveling abroad, sharing their experiences and learning from others. These trips were eye-opening, revealing both the universality of homelessness and the diverse ways in which it could be addressed. Despite their busy schedules, Nancy and Taylor made it a point to maintain the personal connection that had brought them together in the first place. They often spent quiet evenings reminiscing about the past, reflecting on how far they had come, and dreaming about what they could achieve next. Their bond was a testament to the power of friendship and the idea that even the most unexpected relationships could have a profound impact. Nancy and Taylor's partnership continued to grow in unexpected and deeply transformative ways. The world had come to know them as a team, united not just by their past, but by their unwavering commitment to creating meaningful change. Yet even as their efforts expanded, the depth of their journey revealed new layers of personal growth, challenges, and triumphs. Nancy, now a recognized figure in both humanitarian and culinary circles, began exploring how food could bridge the gap between communities and provide a path to healing. Her experience with homelessness had shown her that food was more than sustenance. It was a way to connect people, evoke memories, and inspire hope. She began hosting pop-up dining events in underserved neighborhoods where locals could enjoy gourmet meals crafted from affordable, locally sourced ingredients. These events, called Tables of Renewal, became wildly popular, drawing people from all walks of life. The gatherings weren't just about food, they were about fostering dialogue and breaking down the invisible walls that often divided communities. Nancy made it a point to involve individuals transitioning out of homelessness in these events, giving them the chance to showcase their talents and build confidence in a supportive environment. The stories shared over those meals were as varied as the dishes served, each one adding to the rich tapestry of human resilience and connection. Taylor, meanwhile, found herself profoundly influenced by these experiences. The music she was writing during this period began to reflect themes of unity, healing, and the power of human connection. One particularly powerful song, A Table for Us All, was directly inspired by Nancy's dining events. The song featured a choir of voices from diverse backgrounds, symbolizing the harmony that could be achieved when people came together. It became an anthem of the movement, performed at benefit concerts, and used to raise awareness for social justice causes around the world. The success of Tables of Renewal inspired Nancy to think bigger. She began working on a documentary series that explored the role of food in overcoming adversity and building communities. With Taylor serving as executive producer, the series, titled Breaking Bread, followed stories from around the globe, from a small bakery run by Syrian refugees in Germany to a community farm in South Africa that employed former gang members. The series celebrated the universal power of food to transform lives. The project was met with critical acclaim, winning awards for its heartfelt storytelling and stunning cinematography. But more importantly, it sparked conversations about the broader implications of food insecurity and the need for sustainable solutions. Nancy became a sought-after speaker at international conferences on food justice, where she advocated for policies that prioritized accessibility, nutrition, and dignity. Despite her growing fame, Nancy remained deeply grounded. She often visited shelters and transitional housing facilities, offering cooking workshops and spending time with residents. Her authenticity and willingness to listen made her a beloved figure in these communities. She understood that her role wasn't just to inspire but to serve, and she approached every interaction with humility and gratitude. Taylor, too, found herself embracing a more hands-on approach to her advocacy work. She began volunteering anonymously at shelters during her downtime, wanting to experience firsthand the realities faced by those she was helping. These experiences had a profound impact on her, deepening her empathy and reshaping her perspective on privilege and responsibility. She often shared these reflections with her fans, encouraging them to look beyond their own circumstances and find ways to make a difference in their communities. One of the most ambitious projects they undertook together was the establishment of the Second Sunrise Institute, a research and training center dedicated to addressing the root causes of homelessness. The institute brought together experts from various fields, including social work, economics, psychology, and urban planning, to develop innovative strategies for prevention and intervention. Nancy and Taylor both played active roles, with Nancy drawing on her lived experience to provide invaluable insights, and Taylor leveraging her platform to secure funding and partnerships. The Institute's first major initiative was a comprehensive study on the barriers faced by individuals trying to escape homelessness. The findings were sobering but illuminating, highlighting systemic issues such as inadequate mental health care, lack of affordable housing, and the stigmatization of those experiencing poverty. Armed with this data, the Institute launched pilot programs aimed at addressing these challenges, from mobile mental health clinics to job training programs tailored to specific industries. As the years passed, the impact of their work became increasingly evident. Formerly homeless individuals who had benefited from Second Sunrise's programs began sharing their stories, adding to the growing chorus of voices calling for change. Many of them went on to become advocates themselves, creating a ripple effect that extended far beyond what Nancy and Taylor could have imagined. One particularly poignant moment came during the 10th anniversary gala for Second Sunrise. Held in a grand ballroom filled with supporters, beneficiaries, and dignitaries, the event was both a celebration of their achievements and a reminder of the work that still lay ahead. Nancy, now an accomplished speaker, delivered a heartfelt address in which she reflected on her journey. "I never imagined I'd be standing here," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. 10 years ago, I was invisible to the world, sitting on a sidewalk and wondering if I'd ever matter again. But someone saw me, truly saw me, and refused to let me fade away. That moment changed everything, not just for me, but for everyone whose lives have been touched by Second Sunrise. And it's proof that no matter how small an act of kindness may seem, it has the power to ignite a revolution. The audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation, but Nancy's eyes were focused on Taylor, who sat in the front row, tears streaming down her face. In that moment, the enormity of what they had accomplished together became undeniable. After the gala, Nancy and Taylor found a quiet corner to reflect. "Can you believe it?" Nancy asked, her voice filled with wonder. "All of this started because you stopped on a busy street." Taylor smiled, taking Nancy's hand. "I didn't just stop," she said. "I came back to find someone who had always been there for me. You didn't just help me grow up, Nancy. You taught me what it means to care, to really care. Everything we've done, it's because of you." Their work continued to evolve in the years that followed. Nancy expanded her culinary ventures, opening a restaurant that employed individuals transitioning out of homelessness. The restaurant, aptly named Haven, became a symbol of hope and opportunity, offering not just jobs but a sense of community. Its success led to the creation of additional locations in cities across the country, each one serving as both a dining destination and a training ground for those seeking a fresh start. Taylor, inspired by Nancy's unwavering dedication, began incorporating her advocacy work into her music tours. Each concert included a segment dedicated to raising awareness about homelessness, with proceeds from ticket sales supporting Second Sunrise initiatives. Fans embraced this mission wholeheartedly, turning concerts into opportunities for collective action. Donation drives, volunteer sign-ups, and awareness campaigns became an integral part of the tour experience. As the years unfolded, Nancy and Taylor's shared journey reached new heights, extending far beyond the initial spark that had ignited their partnership. Their impact was no longer confined to their direct efforts, but had begun to ripple outward, inspiring others to take action in ways they could never have anticipated. Nancy's evolution into a global advocate continued to break boundaries. Her memoir, From Shadows to Sunrise, had been translated into multiple languages, becoming a beacon of hope for readers worldwide. She was invited to speak at international forums, including the United Nations, where she addressed the intersection of poverty, homelessness, and gender inequality. In one of her most compelling speeches, she emphasized the overlooked vulnerabilities of women and children who experience homelessness, sharing stories from her own life and the lives of those she had met through Second Sunrise. "Homelessness has a human face," she said during her address. "It's the face of a mother trying to feed her children, a teenager fleeing an unsafe home, a veteran carrying invisible wounds. These faces are not statistics, they are people, and they need us, all of us, to recognize their humanity." Nancy's passion for storytelling took on new forms as well. She began mentoring others to share their narratives, launching a program called Voice to Value within Second Sunrise. This initiative trained individuals experiencing homelessness to write, speak, and advocate for themselves, empowering them to reclaim their identities and fight against societal stigma. Graduates of the program often said that it gave them something they hadn't felt in years, a sense of agency and dignity. One of Nancy's most notable mentees was a young man named Desmond, who had grown up in foster care and found himself homeless at 18. Through Voice to Value, Desmond discovered a talent for spoken word poetry, using his art to convey the complexities of his experiences. Nancy was deeply moved by his work, and with Taylor's help, Desmond performed at one of Taylor's concerts, delivering a powerful piece about resilience to an audience of thousands. The crowd's standing ovation was a testament to the universality of his message and the importance of giving people like him a platform. Meanwhile, Taylor's involvement in Second Sunrise evolved into something deeply personal and reflective of her own growth. The quiet moments she spent volunteering at shelters and transitional housing facilities had become a cornerstone of her life, offering her a grounding perspective amid the chaos of fame. She also found herself drawn to the stories of those she met, often incorporating their struggles and triumphs into her songwriting. These songs resonated with audiences worldwide, creating a collective sense of empathy and solidarity. Taylor's commitment extended beyond advocacy. She began investing in affordable housing projects, using her financial resources to support initiatives that prioritize the dignity and autonomy of residents. One of her projects, called Anchor Villages, focused on providing stable housing to families while integrating on-site services like childcare, mental health counseling, and job placement programs. These villages became a model for addressing homelessness in a holistic way, blending compassion with practicality. One of the most significant turning points in their shared journey came when Second Sunrise partnered with a tech company to develop an app called Horizon. The app was designed to connect individuals experiencing homelessness with resources in their area, including shelters, food banks, medical clinics, and job opportunities. Horizon also featured a mentoring component, allowing those who had transitioned out of homelessness to guide others through the process. Nancy, ever the advocate, served as the face of the campaign to promote the app, emphasizing how technology could be a tool for empowerment rather than exclusion. Horizon's launch was a monumental success, garnering praise for its innovative approach to addressing homelessness. Within its first year, the app facilitated thousands of connections, helping individuals access the resources they needed to rebuild their lives. For Nancy, the success of Horizon was deeply personal. It represented another step toward dismantling the barriers she had once faced. As Second Sunrise expanded its reach, Taylor and Nancy began exploring ways to ensure its mission would endure beyond their involvement. They established a fellowship program to train future leaders in nonprofit management, social work, and advocacy. The fellowship, named in honor of Nancy's late sister, became a cornerstone of Second Sunrise's legacy, fostering a new generation of changemakers who would carry the torch forward. One of the fellows, a young woman named Priya, embodied the spirit of the program. Priya had experienced homelessness as a child after her family fled political violence in their home country. Through the fellowship, she developed a pilot program to support refugees navigating the complexities of starting over in a new land. Priya's program, launched with funding from Second Sunrise, quickly became a national model for refugee integration, further expanding the organization's impact. As the years went on, Nancy and Taylor's partnership remained as strong as ever. Rooted in mutual respect and shared purpose, their friendship had evolved into something almost familial, a bond that transcended the circumstances that had brought them together. They often reflected on how their lives had been irrevocably changed by that chance encounter on a cold New York sidewalk. For Nancy, it was a reminder of the power of being seen. For Taylor, it was a lesson in the transformative potential of empathy and action. In one quiet moment during a rare day off, the two sat on a balcony overlooking the city that had once been the backdrop of Nancy's darkest days. "Did you ever imagine we'd get here?" Taylor asked, her voice filled with wonder. Nancy smiled, her gaze steady. "I didn't even know here existed," she replied, "but I do know that everything we've done, everything we've built, it's because you chose to stop that day." Taylor shook her head gently. "No," she said, "it's because you didn't give up. You reminded me that no matter how far someone has fallen, there's always a way back. You showed me what hope looks like." Their work had become a testament to what was possible when people chose to see the humanity in one another. Together, they had redefined what it meant to make a difference, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness could lead to seismic change. And while the journey was far from over, they knew that every step forward would bring them closer to a world where no one was left behind, and every sunrise truly marked a new beginning. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what do you think inspired this unexpected act of kindness? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.